Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to make a video about a starter build for the witch, and yesterday I made one for the monk for a good survivability build, and a few people weren't very happy with it because it was a level 6 build. Well, that's what a starter build is. It was something that helped people survive, and I'm trying to help people who are new to the game actually have a chance of falling in love with the game before they start expanding and testing out builds and stuff. I just felt like it was a good survivability, and that's why I wanted to make it. However, today I've listened to people and they say like, oh, you shouldn't make a level 6 build. So today we're looking at a level 11 build. I mean, come on guys, that's almost double. So with the witch, essentially you are relying on your minions, and that's the build we're going to look at. But I also have abilities to put debuffs on people, and that's also very important because we have the 2 purple things down there, which I'll explain a little bit later. But essentially you put in chaos damage over time onto an enemy, and then when you kill them it can spread to other enemies, and that's what we're looking to do for me as my singular character, while my minions do other things. Let's just very quickly go see if we can find some enemies. Okay, we got these little chicken guys who really are frustrating and annoying. There's only 2 of them though. I don't even need to do anything. Look, my minions are just absolutely destroying them because of how powerful they are. Okay, so now if I put a contagion on and then hopefully kill that one, it will spread the contagion around and start doing chaos damage to everyone. I'm just going to use my wand at the moment just to kind of kill things. So you can see that pretty good damage, but you also can see that my 2 skeletons have little red lights on their head, and that is for the skeletal arsonists to use them to explode them. So essentially I'm trying to put the contagion and the essence drain onto an enemy, use one of my skeletons to explode onto that enemy, which will almost always instantly kill them, and then spread that contagion and damage around to other enemies. That's the basic rotation for me, and I think it's pretty cool and pretty powerful. I've succeeded with it quite a bit. So let's look at it. First and foremost, for the class that we got set up here, I've just been equipping things. I don't care too much right now what the attributes are and traits are. I've just put them on, so you know, 1 to 3 fire damage to attacks, I don't care. Then I've got a couple of rares, which, you know, people got very upset about that. I didn't know what the yellow one was. Personally, I don't care, but you know, I got some pretty cool stuff on there. But I did get my first unique, and I slotted a 12% fire resistance to it because I thought, why not? But plus 31 to strength, plus 44 to dexterity, plus 48 to intelligence, and every level I get, all attributes go down -1. So it's a beast of an item now, and in a little while it's probably not going to be too good, and hopefully I'll get a unique to replace it. So I thought that was pretty cool, to be fair. For the weapons, you want a scepter that has level whatever skeletal warrior minions for the skill, because you can get other things like discipline. You need the warrior minions to be able to blow them up, so make sure you got a scepter or any other weapon that might have the ability to spawn warrior minions. I don't know, I've only used the scepter. And then the wand, you know, you want a chaos bolt. I don't know whether wands come with any other things. I prefer a chaos bolt. I need to get a better one now because it's only a level 2. Now, let's look at the gems very quickly. So for Chaos Bolt, I have the Chain Gem, which supported skills chain 1 times. So if I throw out my bolt, it's going to hit one enemy, bounce off, and hit another enemy. And on Xbox, when you're attaching contagion to an enemy, usually it just goes onto a random person. So with this chain, I can just keep firing, and hopefully hit that person that has contagion, even if I'm not hitting them directly. For the skeletal warriors, I have Withering Touch. You know, you could apply Wither to enemies on hit. So I did this because they're running in anyway because they're going to get blown up. So their first couple of hits before I blow them up might also put Wither on them. So if they don't die, they've still got Wither. If they do, it doesn't really matter. I had nowhere else really to put this gem, so I just shoved it on there. Then for contagion, we have persistence, which is support skills have 40% more skill effect duration. I am hoping that this means that the contagion lasts longer on an enemy before it disappears, so you got longer time to kill that enemy, with the hope of spreading it around. And then we also have the magnified effect, which is 40% more area of effect, and I'm hoping that when you kill someone it spreads further to more enemies. I have no feasible way of testing this right now, but I'm assuming that's what they do, so I shoved it onto Contagion because that's my main attack. And I could probably get some more gems in here or there, but for right now, that's all I've got. So Essence Drain deals 11 to 21 chaos damage, fires a projectile that applies a powerful chaos damage over time debuff to its enemies, and Contagion affects a single enemy with a debuff that deals damage over time. If the enemy dies while affected by Contagion, it's an all of a chaos damage over time debuffs spread to nearby enemies and refresh their durations. So that's why I'm trying to attach both of these, because when they die, both of the damage over times are going to go to another enemy as long as they have Contagion on them. I've also just got Enfeeble. I haven't really implemented it yet, but curses all targets in an area after a short delay, making them deal less damage. So this might be just for bosses, particularly for me, because usually when I'm fighting in a crowd of enemies, they probably die before this will hit them anyway. But it felt like a good ability, and I'm going to try and put it into my build somewhere. Your skeletal arsonists, summon bomb throwing, reviving skeletal arsonists that can detonate other minions on command. That's what you want. And those are essentially the skills. Let's look at the passives. So for me, I went twofold each side of the tree. So I wanted some energy shield because I found that even though I'm doing a lot of damage and stuff, if anything gets on top of me, specifically bosses, they hurt a lot really quickly. So I wanted to improve my energy shield all the way up to pure energy, and then I'm going to take a right path over to here to get more attributes, and then over to life recoup. So 3% of damage taken recouped as life, 3% damage, and then 20 to maximum life, and 8% damage recouped as life. So that's my next pathway over the next few levels, is to go get a survivability in terms of health. Then where I built into first before I went to the energy shield was everything into my minions. So increased spell damage, which I'm assuming is for my little chaos bolt one, and minions deal 8% increased damage all the way up to the raw destruction. 16% increased spell damage, minions deal 16% increased damage, and plus 10 to intelligence. And eventually when I can, I'll probably continue down the whole minion side of it, because I want to spawn as many minions as possible and have them do as much damage as possible. So for a starter build, this is where I landed. I think it's pretty decent. It's got a good balance between you doing damage, your minions doing damage, a bit of survivability, and then when I get over to here, a little bit more survivability. So for this build, I ran into a few problems here and there, and I don't know whether it's just the game or maybe I'm doing something wrong, but sometimes it felt like my skeletons weren't exploding when they should be. When they did, utterly unbelievable, incredible amounts of damage. Now I know that you have to be looking at the skeleton in the direction of the skeleton at least to blow them up. However, I feel like it doesn't matter how close you are, the amount of enemies that are between you and that skeleton will sometimes prevent you in blowing them up, which is very, very frustrating. But if you are dodging around, you're probably going to have a good angle on your skeleton to be able to hit them and get your exploder arsonist skeletons to blow up your other skeletons. But I will say I have enjoyed this class immensely. I love my monk, and I love the build that I've started with my monk. However, it's more defensive, so it takes longer to kill things, which can be frustrating, but also that's just the way I like to play sometimes. So having something that is more about attack and damage, with the caveat that I can be at range and not take as much damage, really speaks to me, because I get the best of both worlds. I get to play my defensive play, I get to play range play, but also I've got a lot of damage up front through my abilities. Now obviously this is more for AoE attacks, so you want groups of enemies. When you are fighting a singular boss, it can be a bit frustrating in many ways. Your Contagion and Essence Drain still work on bosses. However, obviously you are not going to spread it to other enemies because they just take the damage. So you're still doing damage over time and it's still worth applying. It just feels like it lacks something, because this is all about getting all enemies just killed really quickly. So it really works in group AoE situations, but it's still pretty good against bosses. A lot of the bosses as well, they spawn enemies, usually groups of enemies. So if you don't want to get overrun, you have an easy way then to attach the Contagion. Even if you don't get the Essence Drain onto them, you can blow up one of your skeletons and take them all out quickly, so you can avoid a lot of mechanics in fights just by having a really quick way to take enemies down. Then you're just left with you and the boss. You're going to be doing a lot of kiting in this build, because when your skeletons die to bosses, which they do very quickly because I've got low health, you're pretty much on your own. So you are just rolling away, hitting them with Contagion, hitting them with anything you can to debuff them, and then just throwing out your chaos bolt and then running away and running away. That's the best way I found to play when all my skeletons die. Your skeletons actually revive themselves on a regular basis. It's not like a 2-minute wait until they come back. They keep coming back. However, like I said, bosses can pretty much look at them and they die. So bosses are a little less fun for this build, but it's still really good, but it's just a little less fun. It's a bit more frustrating. You're gonna have to really work on your dodging and stuff, and focusing directly on what the bosses are doing, their movements, their abilities, and dodging them. That's going to be your main priority when you're fighting bosses, until probably you get later on when you're obviously your minions are probably going to be a lot stronger. They're going to have a little more health. You're going to put some points into the skill tree to get them more health and more survivability. But for right now, because it's an starter build, an early build, I feel like this is a good build for everything involved, for yourself, for your minions, to do damage, for survivability, for you, not your skeletons. And that's it. That's the build. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're thinking about playing Witch, I would suggest it. It's pretty fun. It's pretty overpowered. Let me know what you're thinking down below. What is your builds? If you have a Witch, have you gone a different route other than minions? What kind of abilities do you have? Do you use? What passive skills do you build into? And if you're playing anything other than a Witch, let me know, because I'm going to try and play every single class before early access is gone. That's it. Thank you for watching. I've been Easy Now. You guys have been awesome.